Hello, my name is Aurelia Ramirez. Today I will be discussing the study and research that was performed at the Willowbrook State School. The school was established from the state of New York in 1947. It was the largest institution for children with intellectual disabilities to provide them with care, education, and vocational training. Many children with disabilities were segregated into these large facilities that were away from the community. There were many hepatitis outbreaks among the residents in the school, and controversial medical studies were done from the year 1956 to 1971. Dr. Saul Krugman allowed medical studies to be performed on these children. They were infected with live hepatitis viruses so that they could study the development of the disease to seek and test potential treatments. Main ethical problems that occurred during this study was that people with intellectual disabilities were placed in these large institutions because they thought they were better off in isolation from their community. The institution was overcrowded and the residents were treated with abuse, dehumanization, and public health crisis. They were taken advantage of because the children were vulnerable. They were from low-income families and were used for experimentation without them knowing the full risk. Consent was not obtained by the children since they were unable to give them consent because of their disability. The residents were being used to see the effectiveness of their vaccines and treatment that would potentially stop the hepatitis, which was a deadly disease. In 1972, Geraldo Rivera, an investigative reporter from ABC News, brought attention to millions around the world about what was occurring in Willowbrook. People were outraged, and the parents of the residents filed a lawsuit on March 17, 1972. The lawsuit alleged all the violated constitutional rights of the residents at Willowbrook. On April 30th, 1975, the Judge Jude signed the Willowbrook consent judgment. The Willowbrook judgment established guidelines and requirements to operate the institution and the care that must be provided for the residents. Willowbrook was eventually closed in 1987 because of the pressure of the advocacy groups, investigations, and because of Geraldo Rivera exposing the institution. All large institutional schools and settings for people with disabilities were closed. They were moved to smaller community-based group homes. The closure of the institution was one of the reasons why the American Disability Act in 1990 was created, to provide legal protections and rights for people with disabilities. The impact of research communities trusting in medical research and the ethical considerations in research today are important to help the community and provide treatment for them. To provide proper treatment for them. Today's ethical considerations and research help avoid violating people's rights and performing research that will not commit any ethical violations. It's important to understand unethical research practices for students studying dental hygiene so they can avoid committing unethical violations and avoid being penalized for making unethical decisions. It will benefit us to know this for future academics and professionals endeavors because it will help us to make ethical research practices that will create trust with our patients and with people working with us so that we are trustworthy. This was a study of the Willowbrook State School, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you.